Hi, I'm Dr. Hisham. I'm here to address some of the confusion that came about after my interview on 7 Sharp on Tuesday, the 20th of August. The reason I went on the show was to raise awareness about what we're using to clean our mouths and how can we do better, what are the better options, and what is not so good about what's available out, some of the products that are available out there. The recording, the interview, was about 60 minutes long, and it was a fantastic interview. We had fun, we joked around. Some of that was actually shown on that video, which I'm very happy about because it shows that I can be silly sometimes, and that's totally fine. But when it came to the actual core of the message itself, there was definitely some confusion, and cutting down a long interview into a 2-minute interview and making simplified statements out of it does cause some confusion, which has been brought to my attention by quite a few colleagues and friends and patients. Some were happy about it, some were unhappy about what was meant or what was intended or even what was stated. So let's go back and revisit some of those critical points and explain what was said and what was meant by that and what wasn't said, but that was actually oversimplified and put in a different context. The first point I would like to address is that I did not say, do not use toothpaste. What I was doing on that show is addressing what is inside most toothpastes and how could you become more aware when you're making choices, more informed choices, on what to buy, what to use, and why yes and why not. Because the fact is we definitely need something to clean our teeth at least twice a day, whether it's toothpaste, tooth cream, tooth gel, dental powder, whatever it is a free world, so we can choose whatever you want to do, but you would like to know what's in it, what is good, and what can be done better. But I never said, do not use toothpaste. So what is of concern in most of those products that I was trying to bring up, and that is proven by research and evidence, not just opinions, is, for one, sodium lauryl sulfate, which is soap, detergent. Normally you wouldn't think about eating soap as being a good thing. Well, it actually isn't a good thing because soap, sodium lauryl sulfate, is a known skin irritant and much more so a mucosa irritant. The skin of the mouth and the skin of the guts is called mucosa. It's different to our outer skin. That is evidence, that is research. It is an irritant, it increases permeability, it opens it up more to allow things which maybe should not, and even bacteria that should not pass through, to pass through. Of course, that gets even more complicated when you use sodium lauryl sulfate, which is soap, like I said, along with an alcohol mouth rinse before or after, which has a similar effect and aggravates that fact even more, or you've had other alcoholic drinks before, or you've had a cigarette, or you've had a dry mouth for most of the day, dehydration, too much caffeine, too much medication. There's so many variables, so many risk factors that people every day go through, some by choice, some not by choice. The point is, we shouldn't be adding more risk factors to what is already going on when we are trying to resolve a health problem. So that is number one, the sodium lauryl sulfate. So if you're going to use any kind of toothpaste, tooth gel, tooth cream, dental powder, whatever you choose to use, just look for things, and there are many out there that don't have sodium lauryl sulfate. That was one of the main points. Second ingredient in many toothpaste, added there by intention, is abrasive. Many have silica, some have calcium carbonate, which is chalk, that's also an abrasive, and actually some of them state that clearly, calcium carbonate as an abrasive. It is not a source of calcium, it is a salt of calcium, but it's insoluble, so it's an abrasive, and silica is sand basically. Hence on the show, we were talking about a little bit of the sandpaper there. That was the whole intention of showing what abrasives mean and what they can do. And in actually the industry now, we have a term that I did not invent. I'm using it because many experts before me have been discussing it. Toothpaste abrasion. What we used to call toothbrush abrasion, where people have scrubbed away parts of their teeth or their gum because of what we thought was aggressively brushing their teeth, actually has been shown to be the abrasive in many toothpastes, scrubbed onto the teeth with a toothbrush, is what is causing that. So we've changed that term to toothpaste abrasion. Therefore, my point is, when you're looking for something to use to clean your teeth, choose something that doesn't have abrasives in it. And it's very difficult for the lay person, or many professionals actually, to understand which one is more abrasive and which one isn't. So the easiest way to look for more appropriate product, if you choose to, is to look for something that doesn't have silica or calcium carbonate in it. It's all about increasing awareness and giving people information to make better informed choices. And the third point that I brought up was the fact that most toothpastes in New Zealand have the word "do not swallow" on them, and this is actually a global phenomena. In some countries, like in the US and generally North America, it goes much further than that and says "do not swallow, and if swallowed, contact poison center." Why is that on something that we use every single day? Give it to our kids, use it ourselves. And by the way, swallowing is not the fastest way to get something into your body, into your bloodstream. The fastest way is what we call submucosal. Well, actually, the fastest way is IV, intravenous. Second fastest way is submucosal, under the tongue, through the mucosa of the mouth or the guts. So by default, anything you put in your mouth, you're going to be ingesting it into your body, whether you swallow it or not. So this was the point that I'm trying to bring up. Why is there a label, "do not swallow," on something that we use every single day and put in our mouths? If you investigate that, it's because we don't want people to be, obviously, swallowing all this soap, detergent, other preservatives, artificial sweeteners. So you will find this warning label, especially in the US by law, on any toothpaste that contains fluoride. And in New Zealand, I think it's in most toothpastes, even the ones that don't contain it. Nevertheless, the point is, if you see that warning sign, just question, why is it there? Is this okay for me to ingest or not? And then make your own choice based on what you know. And my intention was to question the companies, which I've been doing for over 10 years now. And not just me, like I said, there's a lot of colleagues all over the world, respectable scientists and dentists and other healthcare professionals who've been questioning companies or coming up with better products themselves, and the companies have been changing their products. Not all products have been, or brands have been changed, but a lot of them are changing because of this increased awareness and heightened market demand for something better and professional awareness that's going, hey, we need to question this, we need to do better. And by the way, this is the analogy that I was talking about when the toothpaste and smoking thing came onto the Seven Sharp. I did not say toothpaste is like smoking. That was never said, that was never intended to be the point. The point was the thinking that we accept today, that what we have is the best that we will have without questioning it, is not okay. Not in dentistry, not in any profession or anything in life. We've always got to question our current beliefs and challenge them and say, okay, is this the best that we could do? And if yes, that's great. But if no, hey, can we do better? Absolutely. And if we know we can, then we should. With these ingredients in most toothpaste that I'm talking about now, once we become aware that we can do better and we start doing it, and like I said, many companies have started doing that, then we will look back one day when everything has changed and the new convention becomes not what we used to use before, but all the new stuff, because right now still the convention is what we've been used to using. Then we will look back at it and say, wow, glad we moved on, and I wonder why we recommended that as the most ideal, which is the same thinking that goes on now when we look back at what professionals did in the 50s and promoted smoking as something that doctors would actually recommend for you. Now that sounds silly to us now, but at the time that was conventional, that was normal, that was accepted. The analogy was in the thinking. It's not toothpaste is like smoking. And if it came across in any other different way because of the imagery or because it was said that Hisham compares toothpaste to smoking, that is simply not correct. And the last part that I would like to address relates to my OzoSpa oral care system, of which the powder, the dental cleaning powder, was shown on that show as well. And I would like to clarify that it is not expensive baking soda. It does contain sodium bicarbonate to control and manage pH in a natural and safe way, but that's actually a small part of the ingredients in the product. The major ingredients are xylitol, calcium glycerophosphate, totara, which is from the totara tree, which all are food-grade ingredients, but they're also scientifically proven over decades to have amazing effects, amazing health effects in the mouth and in the body as well. Xylitol controls the growth of bad bacteria and yeast and fungus. It helps remineralize teeth. It helps control tooth decay. That's the whole point of what we're trying to do here. It is proven to do that, and that's the major ingredient in that powder, actually. And then the calcium glycerophosphate, which is soluble calcium and phosphate. That's what provides the mineral for the teeth, and if you swallow it, for the bones as well. And it's a very safe food-grade ingredient. And the totara as well. I've been working on this project for a decade now, basically. Trying to collate science, evidence, trialing out different combinations and different concentrations of all these ingredients, maintaining the fact that it should be safe to swallow, safe for all humans, and effective, as effective or more effective than anything else we have out there, before I actually started to talk about it with the public. So it's not haphazard, it is very intentional, it has been research proven, the xylitol and everything else, like I said. And anyway, the point is, it is just an option that I gave out there, something that I made myself, for my family actually. I made it for myself and my own family, and then started sharing with friends, and then with patients, and now it happened to be shared with the rest of the world. That's all it is. Whatever you choose to use is absolutely your choice. All I was doing on that show, and what I do in my whole life, is to educate, empower, and help people become more aware and more understanding of what we know as professionals or as scientists, but it's not expressed out there. People don't know, they don't read scientific journals. They don't understand what is going on out there. They don't read labels even. So there it is. That's what I intended to say. That's what I was trying to show physically. And we talked about a lot more things. We talked about biofilm and acids and what is the cause of tooth decay, which is a bad biofilm imbalance, basically bad bacteria, fermenting sugars, making acid. Acid dissolves teeth. That is the whole concept and the actual true explanation of tooth decay. And how can we control that? There was a lot of things that were discussed, and I will be discussing them and openly sharing them, as I have been in the past, in more videos and in more writings and everywhere else, to increase awareness so that people can take control of their own health, their own well-being, and make their own choices in any way that they choose to, use any products that they choose to, and live the way that they choose to. Thank you for listening to me.